it's Jennifer from Flux. In this video, I'm going to show you how to crochet this absolutely beautiful Morning Glory shawl. This is soft and just kind of like one of those feel-good projects. We're going to be using some simple stitches, just some double crochets and some chains, and I'm going to go through this every step of the way with you. Now, you can get this pattern in lots of different ways. You can get it here in its entirety. We're going to go through the whole project together here on the channel. You can also find the full written pattern for free on the blog. And you can also get the ad-free pattern PDF over in my Etsy shop and in my Ravelry shop. You can also join our Flux Gold Pattern Club over at Patreon. And for $5 a month, you get all of the whole month's patterns as ad-free PDFs. So there's lots of different ways to get this pattern. All the links can be found below. And we're going to go through the project together here today as well. Now, the finished shawl measures about 17 inches wide and it's 62 inches long. However, later on in the video, we're going to talk a little bit about multiples. So if you want to make this a little bit narrower or a little bit wider, you can really scale it down with the pattern multiples, and we'll go through that in more detail. You can also make this longer or shorter simply by working more or less rows. So you can customize it a little bit, but these are the dimensions of the one shown here. So let's get started. For this project, you'll need a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle. A tape measure is super helpful, especially if you want to kind of change the dimensions of your shawl. You can change the length or the width, and we'll talk about that later too. We're going to be using a 6mm J crochet hook. This is my Furls Wood Streamline. I'll put the link down below if you'd like to get one for yourself. And then let's talk about this yarn. We're going to be using 872 yards of medium worsted weight number 4 yarn. Now, I have here, this is a new yarn from Hobbii called Acrylic XL. This is from their everyday acrylic line. Again, for this yarn, I'll put the link down below if you'd like to get some of this for yourself. We're going to be using 4 balls of this. Each ball is 218 yards, so that's a total of 872 yards of medium weight worsted weight yarn. Okay, now this color, if you'd like to replicate the color, this is number 12 and it's called Sky Blue. Again, the link is below to get some for yourself, and that's all you need. So let's get started. Okay, so I have my hook and my yarn and we're ready to go. Now, our stitch multiple, when we do our starting chain, our stitch multiple is 4 plus 1. So if you're not familiar with that concept, all that is the stitch multiple allows you to sort of scale the width of your project. For this particular case, the width of our shawl. It allows you to scale your project. So if you need to change the sizing, the stitch count of that starting chain will still be correct. Okay, so again, our stitch multiple is 4 plus 1. Now, for this one that we're going to do a starting chain of 61. Okay, and that falls in line with the stitch multiple. So if you're calculating the multiple of your own and need to change your starting chain, just know that you do in increments of 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 and so forth, and then till you get about the width that you want, and then add one more chain onto that. So multiple of 4 plus 1. Okay, so what we're going to do to begin is put a slip knot on our hook. Wrap the yarn around your fingers to make a loop, bring the yarn behind that loop, reach in with your hook, bring up the loop, and tighten. Now, like I mentioned before, we're going to do a total of 61 chains, and if you need to change your number, just use that multiple that we talked about. So to make a chain, wrap the yarn around the hook and bring it through the loop. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 58, 59, 60, and 61. So here is our starting chain, and it's going to give you kind of a rough idea of the width of our shawl. Okay, so if you make your chain and you're not loving the size, you can always adjust. Okay, so let's move on to row 1. For row 1, what we're going to do is work in the 6th chain from the hook to start, and I'm just going to come in a little closer so you can see better. So we're going to work in the 6th chain from the hook. So this loop here does not count. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's sixth chain. We're going to work a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. Okay, so to make a double crochet, wrap the yarn around the hook, insert it into that chain that we talked about, and bring up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on the hook. wrap the yarn around the hook, bring it through the first 2 loops, wrap the yarn around the hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. Then we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then in that same chain work another double crochet, just like that. Okay, so then what we're going to do is skip 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and in the chain after that, we're going to do the same thing. Double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, all in the same chain. Okay, so we're making these little V-shaped shapes or stitches rather across. Okay, so then we're just going to keep doing this all the way across until we get to those last 3 chains. So let's do a few more together and then we'll work across. So once again, skip 3 chains, and in the chain after that, work a double crochet, chain 2, 1, 2, double crochet, all in the same chain. Skip 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and in the chain after that, do the same thing. Double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. Skip 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and in the chain after that, do the same thing. Double crochet, and I'm just going to get a little bit more yarn here. So we did a double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet. Okay, so we're just going to keep doing this all the way across. So once more, skip 3 chains, and in the chain after that, work a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, all in that same chain. Okay, let's keep repeating this all the way across. Same thing, all the way across, and then we're going to do this until there's just 3 chains left. So when we get to about the end here, when there's 3 chains left, we'll rejoin and we'll finish up the row. So just keep repeating what we've done across all the way until you have just 3 chains left. Okay, we're just coming up to the end of the row here. I'm just going to work our last V of this row. So remember, double crochet, chain 2, and double crochet all in the same chain. And then, like I said before, we're going to have just 3 chains left at the end of the row. So in this last chain, what we're going to do, we're going to skip 2 chains, and in that last chain here, we're going to work just 1 double crochet to finish the row. Okay, so work a double crochet in that very last chain. Okay, so we're going to move on to row 2 next. I just wanted to show you, we have a nice little strip of some V stitches, very pretty. Okay, so for row 2, what we want to do is chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to turn our work. We'll deal with this tail later. We're not going to worry about that right now. Okay, so we're going to be working, if you go over to the written pattern over at the blog, you can see that we talk about the chain 2 space. So remember those chain 2s we did in between the V, the double crochets that made that V? So that space it created, so in the center of those V's, that chain 2 space, it refers to in the written pattern on the blog. Link is below for that if you want to see it. We're going to work 4 double crochets. Very easy. So in the chain 2 space right here, we're going to work 4 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Just like that, okay? So it's going to sort of like fill in that V with some stitches, okay? And we're going to do this just all the way across, okay? So hop over to that next V in that chain 2 space, work 4 double crochet. 1, 2, my yarn ball is kind of creeping over here. So that was 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and we're just going to do this all the way across. Let's do one more together. Hop over to the next chain 2 space in the center of that V, and once again work 4 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, and 4, just like that, okay? So continue across by working 4 double crochets in each one of these chain 2 spaces all the way across. And then when we get towards the end of row 2, we'll rejoin and finish up row 2, move on to row 3. Okay, just coming up to the end of the row, and we're going to work in that last chain 2 space our 4 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, okay? Now, to finish the row, row 2, what we're going to do is work a double crochet in the turning chain space. So when we did that turning chain, it creates a space here. So here's the V, and then here's the turning chain. In that space in between those, we're just going to work a double crochet right in that turning chain space, okay? Okay, so row 2 is complete. We're starting to get some very pretty stitches. It's starting to sort of play out a little bit. Let's move on to row 3. For row 3, we're going to kind of switch back over to these V stitches. We're going to be alternating, but the way you begin and finish the row is a little bit different, okay? So for row 3, what we're going to do is chain 4 this time. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now there's an extra chain there. Remember before we've been doing a chain 3 and turn. This is a chain 4 and turn, chain 4 and turn, because this turning chain has one extra chain because it's going to form part of that first V of the row we're about to do, just if you need an explanation. Okay, so we did a chain 4 and we're going to turn. And then what we're going to do is work a double crochet in the space between the first 2 double crochets. So this is our first double crochet. Remember we finished off the row with a double crochet in that turning chain space? So there's our first double crochet. And then this is the other double crochet, that first one of that grouping here. So in between those two, this first space here at the bottom, we're going to work a double crochet into that space. Okay, so this is where that, remember that extra chain? This is where that makes sense because that's going to create a little V here on the end, okay? Then we're going to skip over these 4 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, that grouping here. And in this space, in between this grouping and this grouping, right in here, what we're going to do is work a double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet. And that's it. Okay? So you can see how they sort of sit in between those 2 groupings like that, all right? So what we want to do is do this all the way across. So let's do a few together. Hop over that next grouping of 4 double crochet and go to that space in between those groupings and work double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. Just like that, okay? And we're going to do this all the way across. Let's do a couple more together. Hop over to that next space in between those 2 groupings and work double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. Hop over that next grouping and in between those 2, right there in that space, double crochet, chain 2, whoops, chain 2, double crochet. Okay? And just repeat this all the way across. Again, when we get towards the end of this row, we will learn how to finish up row 3 and move on to row 4. Okay, just coming up to the end of row 3, again, in that space between those 2 groupings, we're going to work double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. Okay, and then at the end, in this turning chain space, so see we have our group of 4 double crochets, turning chain, that space right there. How we're going to finish the row this time is work a double crochet, chain 1 this time, double crochet to finish the row, okay? Just like that. Okay, so row 3 is complete. You can kind of straighten things out a little bit. Let's move on to row 4, okay? We have row 4 and 5 to learn, and then we'll be able to kind of depart and work on the shawl on our own, okay? So for row 4, we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and turn our work. we're going to work 2 double crochet in that chain 1 space that we just made. So remember at the end we did that little V with just a chain 1 in there this time. So in that chain 1 space from the previous row, we're going to work 2 double crochets in there this time. So double crochet and double crochet, just like that. Okay, and then we're going to hop over to this chain 2 space, this first V. We're going to work in the center of this V. So we have a double crochet here, a double crochet here. So we're going to skip that double crochet, skip that double crochet. So in this center of this V is where we'll end up. We're going to work 4 double crochets. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and 4, just like that. Okay, hop over to the next chain 2 space and we're going to work 4 double crochets in there. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and we're just going to do this all the way across. Let's do one more together. So hop over to that next chain 2 space and work 4 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so just repeat by working 4 double crochet in each chain 2 space all the way across. And if you're not sure, just look for the center of the V. Okay, we're going to do this across, and when we get towards the end of row 4, we'll rejoin and move on to row 5, which is our final row that we'll be learning. Okay, we're just coming up to the end of row 4, and in that chain 2 space, that last V of the row, because this down back here is the turning chain, but that last V here, we're going to work our 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then in our turning chain space for row 4, we're going to work 3 double crochets in that turning chain space. So 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, and 3 double crochet, okay, to finish the row. All right, so row 4 is complete. And let's do row 5 now, our final row that we'll be learning, and then we'll just be repeating rows over and over, okay? So for row 5, this time we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn our work. Then we're going to skip these first 3 double crochets from the previous row, and in the spaces in between these groupings here, we're going to work our V. So work in that space, work a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. Okay, hop over to the next space in between the next 2 groupings right here and work a double crochet, same thing, chain 2, double crochet. Next grouping space there, so we have our group of 4 in the space in between, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. Next grouping, same thing, okay? So just keep doing this all the way across, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, all the way across in between each one of these spacings between these groups here. So you have your 4, group of 4, and then a space, and then a group of 4, and then a space, all the way across. And then when we get towards the end of row 5, we'll pick up and rejoin. I'll show you how to finish row 5, and then we can move on for the rest of our shawl. All right, just coming up to the end of row 5. So in that last space here, we have a grouping of 4 double crochets and then a grouping here. So that space here, that last space here, we're going to work our double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. Okay, and then in the turning chain space, we're going to just work a double crochet to finish the row. So just work a double crochet and row 5 is complete. So you can kind of straighten things out and everything. And let's look at it on this side too. So we have some beautiful stitch work happening here. And what we're going to do now is just repeat for the rest of our shawl. We have a nice start to our shawl, but for the rest of our shawl, I'm going to zoom out so you can see a little bit better. We're going to be repeating rows 2 through 5 over and over and over again for our shawl until your shawl is as long as you would like it to be. So right now it's as wide as we want it, but to get the length on it, you're going to keep repeating rows 2 and 5 over and over and over again until your shawl is as long as you would like it to be, or until you run out of yarn, whatever comes first. And then when we rejoin, we're going to kind of finish up our shawl, do some finish work, etc. So keep repeating rows 2 through 5 over and over, and we'll rejoin in just a minute. Okay, coming up to the end of the row, just working that last stitch of the row. And just as a side note, I ended on one of the rows that had the groupings of the 4 double crochets just to give it a more solid looking edge, but it's totally up to you. Okay, so what we want to do now is grab our scissors and we're going to cut the yarn. Now I used up the yarn. I just kept going until I didn't have any more yarn left. The sizing we talked about a little bit at the beginning of the video, and also on the written patterns, the sizing breakdown is there as well. I'm going to grab my needle here, and what we're going to do is we're going to fasten off. Wrap the yarn around your hook, bring it through the loop, and pull through, and kind of snug that knot down a little bit. And then just grab your tapestry needle. I'm just going to swivel this around so you can see it a little bit better. So swivel this around and thread your needle. And we're just going to go in one direction with our needle. So go in one direction, just like that. And I like to pull this through and then come back in the other direction with our needle, just to kind of lock the tail into place so we don't have ends popping out, okay? So just pull that through and give it a little snip. Now, I used multiple balls of yarn, so I'm going to have some more ends. I'm going to go ahead and weave my ends in, and when we rejoin, we will look at our beautiful shawl. Okay, all of our ends are woven in, and it looks absolutely beautiful. It's soft, it's cozy, and it is a beautiful color. So that is how you crochet the Morning Glory Shawl. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Fiber Flux video updates. Thanks again.